Thank you. So now today's program. Today the Chambers invited Mayor Robin Lawbaugh, Robert Patrick, Director of Public Service, Harry Stark, Assistant Service Director, and Matt Hiscock, Director of Public Safety, from the City of Wadsworth to present the State of the City Address. Please welcome Mayor Robin, Robert, Harry, and Matt.
Well, good afternoon. It is always a privilege to be here. We certainly look forward to this each and every year. It gives us an opportunity to have a little bit of time to give some updates about what's going on in the City of Wadsworth. As I'm about to different events and activities, I have an opportunity to speak with a good number of people, and many have expressed to me how much they enjoy living in the City of Wadsworth. They're appreciative of the services that are provided. They love the quality of life opportunities that are in the community. Wadsworth really does have a lot to offer. And as you might guess, one of my responsibilities is to make sure that I communicate that with others. Just as each of you and your businesses have the responsibility to get the word out about your goods and services, so too do municipalities need to get the word out to their residents, their customers, as well as businesses that are here, but also to market those same attributes to those that may be becoming, the businesses and residents and even visitors that would come to the community. So this past year, we've made a real concerted effort to try to get the word out better. And I wanted to show you a few of those things that we have done to accomplish that, and then we'll take it from there. So, all right. One of the things that we have done is we have recently updated our website. This was not a small undertaking. We have to thank Harry Stark as our point on the city that led the charge, but we had over 2,000 pages on our city website. But you can tell it's a new sleek design, but I will tell you that it's very newsy, it's very user-friendly, lots of great features, it's being kept up to date, and so it's going to be a great resource for us to use in the future. And as you well know in your own businesses, most likely you don't get calls to ask as far as questions about your business, but people go online, and so this is a very important tool. Another is social media, and we've had social media pages for several years, but we had, as I mentioned, several, and we needed a little bit more of an organized approach, and many of you have met Danielle, and she's actually sitting here today, but Danielle Rich has taken the lead on this, and we have been utilizing the various social media platforms to a much greater extent. This actually is our Facebook page, but we do utilize all the others as well, including videos, so we do YouTube as well. Our Facebook reaches close to 3,000, but we have the ability to reach a great deal more. This was a snapshot from one of our social media posts. This was a storm that was in process, and everybody was very interested in that storm, and so we wanted to make sure we gave updates as far as what was projected to occur, but also how we were handling it, how prepared were we for it. And this particular post received close to 26,000 people interested in the post. It was on their news feed, but more important, it shows that over 4,000 people actually clicked on the information, and so they were looking at the picture in a greater detail, and so we know that they actually got that message. And so what a great way for us to be able to communicate with our residents. Another way is we have a newsletter. This is brand new for us. Newsletters are out there certainly, but we felt that this is something that we wanted to put a lot of time and effort into it. It's very newsy once again. Often it has links or video that's linked to it so that you can have additional information as well. I would encourage you, if you haven't subscribed to any of these things, please do so, because it's well worth your time, because it's a way to keep up to date with what's going on in our community. Something that was on our radar screen for some time was a branding initiative, and we actually met with City Council yesterday, as well as we had a public meeting advertised that we discussed the ending results of this branding initiative. But it was something that we needed some help with, and so we hired a firm called Pogemeyer out of Westlake, and they spent several months with us to help us in this branding initiative. And really what branding is all about is helping a community to find maybe what they are unique, what's memorable about them, and then that gives us a way to market that message to others. And so part of their requirements were to refresh our existing logo, as well as to develop a tagline. They also developed a new logo for our downtown, as well as they designed and then also suggested placement of wayfinding signage for us, as well as they had some other marketing and implementation strategies for us. The consultants looked at information that we presently had. We have downtown plans and that sort of thing that they used as a reference. But really where they got a lot of their information was feedback from individuals in the community, but also there was a steering committee that was involved. Many of you might have participated in some way. You might have filled out one of those surveys. You might have participated in a public meeting. There was a variety of ways, but bottom line is we try to get the information out via our utility bill. We talked with, we did email blasts, social media and so forth to try to get as much information, as much feedback as we possibly could. And through that, we were asking a variety of questions to get people thinking as far as what is Wadsworth all about. So we had asked things such as, what makes you most proud about Wadsworth? What sets Wadsworth apart from other communities? What message do we want to communicate to others? You know, what's the essence of Wadsworth? Those are things that we were asking. And from that, several themes came. One was, it was very obvious that people really enjoy their community. They are proud of Wadsworth. They're proud of their community as a whole, but they're proud of their downtown. They're proud of their schools. They're proud of their library. They really enjoy being here. Another theme that came was that of history. They were proud of their history. And within that, they felt that our history with the match company was something that was unique to us, and that kind of set us apart. And so that was something that was very memorable. Another theme that came out was that Wadsworth is very forward-thinking or progressive, because, for example, we provide utilities that are pretty unusual for other municipalities to provide, such as our electric and our cable and our internet. So those type of things were all swirling around, and so the consultants worked together to come up with a message with the steering committee, and then that was refined and re-refined and so forth. And so, as I mentioned last night, we had a public meeting at City Council to basically unveil the new logo and tagline and so forth. So here it is. Here's the new logo and tagline. The logo was just to be refreshed. We have an existing one that has served us well. It has sleek lines and bright red color, which obviously is very reflective of Wadsworth. But as you can tell, the emblem on the far left is an updated version, and it gives a nod to our history with the match, with the light. Believe it or not, our previous logo was representative of the match, but many were not aware of that, and it wasn't as defined, let's say. So anyways, that's been obviously updated. The other is the new logo, which states, the new tagline, which states, "A community unmatched." Once again, a nod to our history, but also giving a nod to Wadsworth really is unique. We are different, we are memorable, and we would like to express that in the way and communicate that as we reach out to others. This is also the new Main Street logo, and that really turned out well as well. There's beautiful structures here that are very definable. You recognize some of those buildings in the community. So prominent buildings in our downtown. Also, we have some features here. Gazebo that everybody is familiar with. There's also a feature there that I'll give you a little teaser that there's one that's going to be forthcoming. And so that's going to be neat. So we're really excited for that. And we're grateful to Main Street Wadsworth for their diligence in this process as well, because as you might guess, this is a logo that they'll be using throughout in the future here, and they were very instrumental in that process as well. And lastly, I just wanted to show some wayfinding signage designs that they presented to us. when we have this design, where are we going to put the new logo? Where are we going to put this information? And these are some wayfinding signage that they have recommended to us. Signage comes in a variety of ways. One is gateway, so that's as you're entering into a community or entering into a section of the community. And so those top three would be considered gateway examples. Directional signs and banners, those are on the far left, but obviously trying to show direction of how to get to places. And then lastly, there's some examples of identification signage, and those are ones when you're just trying to identify a particular area, such as parking. So those are the types of designs that they came up with, and we will take that and run with it. As you might guess, particularly with the signage, we have a lot of signs in the community, and so it will take some time to replace those. We do have a little bit of money in the budget for this year, and so we're hopeful by the end of the year we'll have some of the signage reflected. But it will be a multi-year project. But we are really excited about this new logo and tagline. We recognize that this is an opportunity that we now have we have it better defined as far as who we are and how we can market this, and we're looking forward to this in the future. Well, at this time, I'm going to turn the time over to Robert Patrick, our Service Director, who will give some information about our services.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for leading that important initiative along with Harry. And I think through that process and all the community feedback we got, we're going to have long-lasting positive impacts to the community, and you're going to see that pay many dividends into the future. I know you all love to hear about services. Unfortunately, I don't like to hear myself talk like this gentleman over here, but I will do my best. This is a beautiful picture, Danielle, nice job. This is another, you may see through a theme throughout all of our presentations, another important initiative is the enhancement or revitalization of downtown. And so this might look like a nice picture downtown, but it actually, if you look closely, it can be a synopsis of a lot of different services that we provide, and like the mayor said, unique from other communities our size. So in the foreground, you see that pretty ornamental street light that is maintained and operated by our electric department, along with those traffic signals you can see. And then if this was a picture at night, you would see those nice white lights in all the trees down there. That again is maintained by our electric department. This year, they're going to go through and replace all of those and upgrade those with new LEDs and then expand those into other trees. You also see that banner on that street light. That is also put up by the electric department. And that banner, for instance, mentions a strong community and the Wadsworth City Schools. And if you've been with us the last couple of years, this would be a great time for me to mention Dr. Andy Hill, like we sometimes do, and maybe make a witty comment. But since this is my third year, I finally learned that in 2 or 3 months, Dr. Hill is going to be up here giving you an address, and then he can have the upper hand. So I'm going to take the different approach, and I'm going to say something positive. As you all know, I think that he is doing a great job, as well as our safety forces, in keeping the community informed and keeping all of our children safe. So nice job to all of them. If you look on the other side of that street light, you see that pretty flower. And those are purchased and hung by the garden club, but they're maintained by the Parks Department, as well as the other flowers that you see and then the other mulching beds downtown. They also install park benches. We did new park benches last year. We added some more trash cans. They actually empty those trash cans, take that to the transfer station, which our sanitation department takes and disposes to at the county. You see the yellow fire hydrants. Those are important. The safety forces use those to provide protection, but our water distribution department maintains all of those. And they've been real busy over the last couple months, especially with those sub-zero temperatures. They've had a lot of water breaks, keeping services running. The water comes from our water treatment plant to provide you safe water. The streets, the engineering department, as Mr. Darlington knows, designs those streets and then oversees the construction of those, and then our street department maintains those throughout the year. The buildings, those are all privately owned, but we are concluding last year a city-funded $50,000 facade program to help those owners to improve those businesses. And then last year, we received a $300,000 revitalization grant to help them even further move on. And that is overseen by the planning department. So they say pictures are worth 1,000 words. also worth a couple services. Continuing, as the mayor said, about communication, this year we are going to further enhance our website with a customer portal, allowing customers and residents to reach out and talk to us and allow us to communicate back to them. We're also going to be doing some online permitting using technology to help out our citizens and contractors and make processes more efficient for them. And then we were part of a pilot program, a national program. We were chosen with 10 other communities because of our marketing initiatives we were doing with the American Public Power Association to try to get the word out on electricity and things that are important and things that we provide. So if you don't already like or follow us on social media, I know I look like a millennial, but I'm actually not that in tune with social media. But you can feel free to get out your phone now and it'll be appropriate and okay. You can go to our site, you can follow us or like us. I just learned what those were, but I still don't really understand. So do one of those. But then, moving forward, we're going to continue some educational campaigns. You'll see some things come out about more information. Speaking of electric, in 2017, we continued to make improvements to our infrastructure. We did over $500,000 worth of large power transformers replacements. That's real important. That helps to keep our reliability as high as it is. And then it helps us to get awards, like we had a certificate of reliability last year for, there's 2,000 communities like ours throughout the country, and we were found to be at the very top percentage of those in providing that power that you all need. Social media-wise, you see there's a photo of something that we put out there. We had 5 electric personnel and took 3 trucks down to Florida last fall and helped out with relief efforts from the devastation that was caused by Hurricane Irma. So that was a great thing that we could do to help them out, because we know that if we had anything happen like that, we would have a lot of people come to us and help support us. So that actually had, I think, over 20,000 likes, and there was a lot of positive feedback by people. And just so you know, you can give positive feedback about the government and things that go on. Feel free to do that. In 2018, you're going to be hearing about an exciting project regarding our electric department. We're going to be working with American Municipal Power to have 2 sites to install some behind-the-meter peaking generation. And that's going to help us for the next 20 years or so. It's going to help to reduce our electric costs, but also provide some backup power if needed in an emergency type situation or blackout conditions. It'll also help when we do some maintenance on our system. We'll be able to keep that reliability and keep people powered. Infrastructure-wise, I know all of you probably had maybe a little easier time getting here this year than last year because the improvements that were made on the High Street widening project, you cannot believe the amount of compliments that I have been receiving about the project over the last couple months, and how well people are able to navigate that now because of those changes that were made. We were able to finish up that for the most part last year. This year, you're going to see, actually next week, you're going to see Broad Street is going to have some construction going on. Dominion's already been there for the last 2 weeks doing a gas line improvement, but we're going to be going in there, and starting next week, our contractor's going to be replacing 2 water lines, 2 over 100-year-old water lines in that area from Lyman Street to Summit. Not only is it going to improve the service of that area, but it's also going to improve the service to the whole city. That'll happen, like I said, next week until about the end of May. And then those other pictures are the Holmesburg Creek Culvert. So on College Street, there's a creek going out underneath to the south. That again is some over 100-year-old infrastructure that we're going to be replacing, so you'll probably see some inconveniences this summer. Our street program this year will be another $1 million project to improve the roadways. You can see that picture on the left. That's all the streets that we have been able to address over the last 6 years of that program since that passage of that 0.1% income tax. And then on the right side, you can see the streets highlighted for this year. Broad Street after the water line, that is going to be completely repaved, but not only in the area of the water line project. It'll be from Lyman all the way to the East Corp limit. And then 57 is going to be improved from 76 all the way down to our southern border. And then Matt will talk about some other traffic improvements that are going to be happening there. And then finally, in CityLink, as you know, last year we made some some large background improvements, and so we were able to improve our speeds. So now we offer speeds up to 150 megabytes per second. So we will continue to offer those services. And then you see that picture on the right, that is a data center. And that is not only going to be used by us to secure our critical infrastructure and then our customer data, but it's also going to be something that we're going to be able to provide to some of you. So your businesses or organizations, if you want to have some off-site co-location of some critical servers or some equipment, feel free to contact us and we'll provide that great service at a real reasonable cost. So at this point, that's my presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Harry Stark. And as Harry comes up here, I just want to acknowledge him for all the fine work and the benefit that he has done over the last years here for the City of Wadsworth.
Thank you, Robert. How's everybody doing? Good? All right. Whoa, hey now. I'm having technical difficulties. So my transition slide, it's not as ingenious as Robert's. Wadsworth Brewing, I've been there a lot and have drank a lot of beer there. So. All right, so on economic development in 2017, we've had a number of projects that occurred. We have around $3.4 million in new payroll. We're able to bring in 112 new jobs, 140 jobs retained. Basically what that means is companies that we're looking at possibly moving out of the city, we were able to keep them here, and so that's a win. It's a win to keep them here. And around $30 million in project investment throughout the community. Last year we were seen as the third fastest growing community in Northeast Ohio based on US Census records. Which is, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but a lot of really good things that have been happening in this community and will continue to happen. As the mayor mentioned, we went through website redesign, and same thing on the economic development side. We really wanted to create a one-stop shop for anybody that's looking at doing business here, coming here, possibly moving their business here. So you name it, it's up there, but from incentives, demographics, workforce information, all of our properties are available, either buildings or lots. And we really, we went out and we talked to some third-party individuals about what we need to have on that site, and I think it turned out really well. As Robert mentioned all of these things, but I'll re-mention them. Branding project. Again, that came out of our downtown vision plan that was adopted last year. It was to create an identity for the community, and I think that project was a really good project. We were able to get some really good feedback from the community. The downtown implementation of that vision plan, there's an implementation committee that's been put together, and we've been meeting, and we've had a lot of good things happen. You know, the Edison lights in the downtown look fantastic down Bixler's Alley if you haven't been there. And other aesthetics that we've done, and then we're working on some other plans for 2018. The revitalization grant, $300,000 allocated for facade and slum and blight improvements. That's how the state puts it, but directed towards the downtown, and we have half of that allocated to date. The facade improvement program, again, that's been very successful. And of course the trail and the new park and the trail house. So those were completed last year. We haven't had the formal ribbon cutting yet because we're still doing some punch list items, but those will be completed in May. And of course, marketing. As in all of your businesses, you need to market, right? Well, the city has to market too, and being a community, you know, that's not one of our expertise. So we hired Danielle. She's been doing a fantastic job, and she reinvented all of our social media, and she's done a great job with a bunch of videos and other marketing materials, and it's really helped us because in social media or economic development, you know, it's not the way it used to be done, and they just, you know, you don't put an ad in a magazine anymore and say, hey, we're great. There's a lot of different ways that we have to work through this, and marketing in these arenas is the way that we're going to be going about it. 2018, probably the biggest project is Village of St. Ed's. $23 million project coming here to the city. It's going to transform the Brickyard property. Really excited about that. That took around 2 years before they broke ground, but it was a great process to go through working with them. We have a number of housing subdivisions that are going up. A new car wash that's going almost across the street. Wadsworth Crossings, where Target is, they're looking at building some new outbuildings out there. So hopefully that will be coming to you guys soon, and you'll see that. And really just manufacturing, industrial, and commercial. I meet with site selectors and developers all the time with the county, and it takes a long time for them to come through. And I've been working with one company now for 2 years because due diligence takes a long time. But hopefully sometime later this year, there will be some announcements. In the downtown, we're going to keep moving forward. We have a green space. One of the biggest things that people wanted to see in our downtown was a park, right? An actual green space. You know, where the gazebo is, it's not the safest park that you want to have. So one of the things that we're looking at is putting together a green space plan through the implementation committee. And where should that park be? I have my idea. I know Adrienne has her ideas. There's a lot of ideas out there, but what's the best for the downtown? We're also going to be doing a new streetscape plan for the downtown. Last time that was done was early 80s. It's a little tired. We have a lot of infrastructure improvements we have to do in the downtown, so what better time to do a new streetscape when that work has to be done. A retail plan that goes hand in hand with the streetscape plan to really look at what businesses should be in the downtown, how should we target those, and how is the new streetscape actually going to affect the businesses in the downtown. More Edison lights. We're going to do the remaining 3 alleys in the downtown, so that'll be good. We're going to redo the lights in the downtown and the trees, so just continuing with those aesthetic improvements, so it should be pretty cool. We're going to continue the revitalization grant. This is the last year of that grant, and of course the grand opening of the trail. You know, Danielle, like I said, has done a great job in marketing, and we're going to be continuing that. We're in the process of hiring a professional videographer to do a video of Wadsworth, basically why Wadsworth, why do you want to be here, and it's going to be short to the point. We've met with 3 companies who do just fantastic jobs, and that'll be coming out at the end of this year. But looking forward to that, as well as all the other marketing that we do. So, many of you know that this is my last meeting, and I'm leaving the city this Friday is my last day for another opportunity. And I just wanted to give a quick overview of my tenure here for the last 8 years. Between 2010 and 2017, this is just a summary. We've had capital investment by commercial and manufacturing, retail of around $241 million. New jobs of around 1,200 and retained jobs around 738. Now the job numbers are very conservative because a lot of the data that we receive isn't providing those numbers. So that's a very conservative number. It's much more than that. This is why we're the 3rd fastest growing community in Northeast Ohio. A lot of people are moving here. We've had a lot of annexations. You know, take a look at all the redevelopment that we've had. You know, in 2010, if you drove down 94, remember what it looked like before the CVS was there. And Dunkin' Donuts, KFC, Advanced Auto, Panera's. So we've had a lot of good projects come into this community. And I know more is on its way. But before I leave, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. It's been great coming here, and I've worked with a lot of you over the years. It's been great. Hopefully you feel the same way. I want to thank administration. I want to thank Matt Hiscock, Robert Patrick, Chris Easton. It was great working with those guys. I've learned a lot. Really did a lot of good projects. And especially want to thank the mayor. Thank you for first hiring me 8 years ago. And the mayor really loves this community, and it's great working with her on projects because you can see that in everything she does when she's looking at projects. So thank you guys, and thank you. Now, Matt Hiscock, Director of Public Safety.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by saying that I will miss Harry quite a bit. Obviously, for all of the great things he's done for our city and the wonderful work he's done at City Hall and everything, but most importantly, and I hope that some of you can probably relate to this, I share an office wall with Harry, and I think all of you know how dedicated and committed he is to his work, but he's also a very positive, emotional guy. So I never knew how important office soundproofing can be, but I'm hoping that the next person, maybe we won't need as much soundproofing between the offices, but I will miss Harry. So my transition slide is something that I focus upon with the police and fire departments very much, and that is our interaction or our engagement with our community. This is, many of the school folks probably recognize our officer here. This is our school resource officer, Adam in Ste A, and this is just one of the programs that the police department takes great pride in terms of participating in the community. I believe this was probably a Scare on the Square event that Adam participated in, and we do quite a bit of that. My first accomplishment of 2017 that I wanted to point to for the safety forces involved the passage of our EMS levy. And really, the first and foremost thank you goes out to you all as citizens and community members. In 17, we formed a committee, the Say Yes to Wadsworth EMS Committee, and it was extremely important to that committee members and the work that they did that we get a passage of our levy. We depend heavily on the EMS levy funding to provide those important life-saving services when you call 911. The committee did a wonderful job. It was department members as well as citizen members, and in the end of the day, I'm happy to report that we actually passed the levy by the highest levy passage percentage in our city's history, and that was an 84% support of that particular measure. So just a wonderful, I think, example of how the community realized the quality and the level of services that were provided by our dedicated professionals, and they came out and showed it in the form of their commitment to us. And we will not forget that. We cherish the opportunity to serve all of you day in and day out, and our folks are very, very appreciative. My next slide deals with another accomplishment. If you recall my last year's presentation, we talked about the new fire engine, rescue engine number 4. It was placed in service in June of 17. In 16, we talked a lot about the design and build portion of that particular project, which was an amazing task. It took more than a year in terms of designing and building this particular piece of apparatus. And you might say, well, it's a fire truck. What's the big deal? Well, it's much, much more than that. And for a smaller combination style department like ours, it's a really big deal because we don't replace this type of fire engine other than once every 20 to 25 years. So this will be with us for a long, long time. And I know I'm biased, but I'll say it. It's certainly not an electric department vehicle, but there is a ton of technology, and I would say more technology in a fire engine than any other vehicle in the city fleet, whether it be something simple like cell phone connections to vehicle data recorders, to obviously the pumping and hose capacity issues, but you've got lighting, you've got different systems that are involved in it, technical rescue items, a really amazing vehicle. And what's best about this particular project, I think, is again, when a committee of the members developed and designed this particular truck, they took into account the fact that, again, the fire side is and will be a levy-funded operation. This particular truck replaces 2 vehicles, so it reduces our capital costs significantly when it comes time for replacement of this as well as the additional vehicle that it'll be replacing. The next slide deals with an ongoing project that continues. Back in 16, we did a study with a consultant about our fire station, in particular fire station number 1. It's a very old station. It's had several different additions to it, and it was designed and purposed for a different style fire department than what you have now. It's pretty obvious if you've ever been to fire station number 1 that we've outgrown it. We outgrew it several years ago, and it's really seen better days. So the consultant took a look at different locations that we might want to consider for a new fire station, and ultimately gave us a path to look at what those impacts of a new location and response times would be on our service. We continued in 17 to look for and had a good idea of a location that we thought we might be benefiting from, but unfortunately we weren't able to secure that location. So in 18, we'll continue to look pursuant to that report on where a new station should be, and hopefully identify and be able to acquire at least the real estate at this point. In the end of the day, we will be coming back to the community once we do acquire real estate with a request to help us with our project and our plan for the building and construction of a new station. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into that particular type of capital investment. Oops, sorry about that. The next slide deals with some, I think I skipped 2 there, sorry about that, yeah. Deals with some other accomplishments also important. First and foremost, we were able to continue our process of replacing or improving railroad crossings. Railroad crossings are probably one of the most dangerous areas for a new driver. Obviously, we have a lot of new drivers in our community, but it's also a dangerous area for any driver. Across the state, there's more and more railroad accidents, so we identified this as a priority topic for us several years ago, and slowly but surely we are replacing unsignalized crossing with signalized crossings. And again in 17, we were able to leverage state dollars to get a crossing license gates improved at Seville Road. So that's something we'll continue to work on in the coming years. Another project we had dealt with improving traffic patterns, and I think Robert made a reference to this in his presentation, but we were able in 17 to finally secure state funding and state approval for a traffic signal, which is actually out in the township, so it was a joint project with the township trustees, but it's on State Route 57 at the College Street ramp. If you've ever been in Wadsworth or have driven Wadsworth, you probably realize how dangerous an intersection that really is. And for me, as safety director, I believe that to be the most dangerous intersection we have in our city that we respond to. So in 17, we were able to secure that funding, and I'm happy to announce that in 18 here, hopefully by the end of summer, we will have a traffic signal at that location. So that's going to be great and improve traffic movement and safety. Probably one of the most highly publicized accomplishment of the safety forces in 17 was something relatively small, but it's really paid dividends for folks, and that is the implementation of an internet exchange point or a purchase point. So with the popularity of buying and selling on the internet, you know, we had lots of people who participate that, and they meet essentially strangers to make that purchase or exchange of goods in different locations in our city. Well, it's not a new idea, and other communities have done it, but we had not done it. What we did in 17 was implement a designated location outside of City Hall that's under surveillance, if you will, to provide a safe exchange point so that people who are meeting folks that they may not know can exchange while on video in a location in close proximity to the police department in case there's any issues. And we labeled that a safe exchange internet point, and it's really been great. A lot of the public has welcomed it. It gets a lot of use, and so we're real happy with that implementation. Other items in 17, we reintroduced a really popular citizen engagement tool, and that is the Police Department Citizen Academy. It was a 14-week program where those who were interested in learning more about what police officers do and what modern policing is all about entered into a 14-week program, and they got to learn right from officers a little bit about the day in and day out roles and responsibilities of officers, whether it be the K-9 program to drug interdiction efforts to simple traffic stops to a touring of not only our jail facilities but the Medina County facilities. They really got an introduction into all things modern policing. And as you all know, I think there's a lot of negativity in the media about modern policing. So it's just a stop or a tool that we can use to educate our citizens about what really our officers face day in and day out. So it was really a great initiative to reinitiate in our programming. So I'm happy that Chief Ranke and Lieutenant Dorland started that program back up. There were several other programs that we always participate in, and we continued in 17, whether it be partnering with National Night Out or Target or some of those entities that we do, whether it be Home Depot Safety Days or the ever popular Safety Forces Camp program in the summer. We continue to be involved in many of those civic engagement points, and really we believe that's an important part of what we do day in and day out. Sure, you hear about some of the negativity surrounding some of the things that the safety forces are called upon to do. But we have a wonderful group of individuals who are certainly dedicated to their role and responsibility, but they also understand that it's about the people they serve. And so it's really important for us to stay engaged, and we will continue to do that with some of the great Main Street Wadsworth events that are coming up and some of the other programming that we do day in and day out. As other communities, we still struggle with issues of addiction and drugs in our communities, but we have wonderful partners again to help us in introducing programs and new initiatives in our community. We partner with the City Schools District and Dr. Hill, as well as a wonderful group of citizens in our Wadsworth Drug-Free Community Coalition, and they continue to raise awareness in our community and try to open up avenues for new services in our community. And 17 was a great year. Community Assessment and Treatment Services of Cleveland announced that they will be bringing an inpatient facility to the old hospital facilities. So that's a great tool that we don't have in Medina County currently, and certainly a wonderful tool to have within the jurisdiction so that we can get folks in need the help that they need. So really a wonderful, wonderful proposition for all of us. My closing slide is about statistics. So honestly, when you look at that call for service number for the police department, did any of you walk in the room today thinking that the Wadsworth Police Department in 17 had over 18,000 calls for assistance from their community? That is a tremendous amount of calls for assistance for a small-sized city when you look at it. That's an incredible service that we provide to our citizens and those traveling and visiting and shopping and doing business in our community. I'm happy that we're able to do that with 31 police officers. That's pretty amazing that you're able to address those types of call volumes, and it's a testament to the hardworking men and women of the police department. The fire department numbers are up also, 384 fire incidences or calls for assistance. So when you look at our annual numbers, you might not see these exact numbers because these are actual phone calls received through dispatch and calls for assistance as categorized there. That's a large number of fire incidences for a combination style fire department, and we're happy to provide those services. 2,300 EMS calls. That continues to be on the rise and is at a high watermark for the 10 years that I've been with the city. We continue to service all types of different EMS related calls, and if you ever have an opportunity, please stop by one of our stations and look in the back of the ambulances. They really are rolling emergency rooms at this point in time, and the level of dedication and education that our EMS personnel have to have continues to rise, and we work closely with our medical control docs through SUMA, and it's just an amazing, amazing service that's provided to our community. That's really all for me. As always, I end my presentation with, if you ever have any questions, concerns, or thoughts about the safety services, please don't hesitate to reach out and contact me at City Hall. You can find all of our information on the wonderful social media and web pages that are provided and that have been mentioned earlier. But at this time, I'd turn it over to Mayor Labaugh to wrap up.
Just wanted to close with a thank you to each one of you. As I mentioned, we really look forward to this because we recognize it's an opportunity to share some of the things that have been going on in the community. So thanks to each of you. And I also want to thank each of my associates. I'm pretty proud of this group. They work really hard throughout the year, and obviously they've got a team that each one of them work with. And the goal is to provide a great service to each one of you, and for that you also are proud of your community, that you enjoy living here. I too will also miss Harry. We're grateful for all of the work that he has done over the years, and as I've told him before, he's really left his mark because you can look out within this community and see specific things that he has had his hands in throughout the years, and so we're very grateful for his diligence and work. But anyways, thank you for this opportunity, and good afternoon.